Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned in to my show, Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and all the different platforms, and streaming on KCAAradio.com. And I'm so delighted that you're here with me on your way to wherever you're going, and know that this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, no angry rhetoric, politics, whatever, but it is just part of my Happy 88 mission that I've been on, 88 million more happy people in the next 8 years. And that is my mission. I'm glad that you're part of it, whether you are stumbling on me by accident. I'm glad that you're here, or that you're tuned in because you know that if you're not feeling the happiest you can be today, right now, since you woke up, that you can tune in here and find out ways to be happier. So this first segment is now called What's Up, Doc? When I talk about what's going on and maybe twist the way we're looking at it so you're not feeling so angry or fine. You know, people that are walking around saying, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Well, you know that fine actually stands up for effed up, irrational, neurotic, and emotional. So if you're saying I'm fine, you really aren't fine. And it is your birthright to be 88% happy. And so that's why I keep saying 88, because if you're 100% happy, you're dead. We don't want dead people walking. 88's a good number because we're, the most of the time, we're in a good place. So that's my message. That's what I try to do in the morning. The second segment is Just Breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe with Dr. Marissa, with a question from either someone who messaged in or someone who called in. So we have a caller today. So that's the second segment. And then the third is the interview. And either we have live, or since this is my first full week on the air, I wanted to use the occasion to have a tribute to someone who pretty much, I think all of you have known, at least from the show Gilligan's Island, and that's Dawn Wells. And unfortunately, we lost her. She went to the other side, complications from COVID. But she came to my studio 4 times, and maybe even 5, because we just connected, and I just want to share her with you and her wisdom that lives on, even though she's not here anymore. So all week I'm playing a segment from her visits to my studio, and I'm just so delighted because she has been a friend and a wonderful, wonderful human being and a beneficial presence on this planet. So that's the interviews all this week. Next week, we have people who are going to be talking about hardship and how to overcome that, and talking about meditation, talking about how to be happy, even in the middle of a pandemic. And that's my Kool-Aid that I always try to get you to drink, which is it possible to have hashtag unconditional happiness? So unconditional happiness means that I can choose to be happy even when the conditions around me don't look good. Things are happening around me that I don't like. And if you turn on the news first thing in the morning, which I don't suggest you do, even though I am media, even though you are doing this, on your device first thing in the morning, the thought of the day for What's Up, Doc is to think about how we have abdicated our attention to whatever is the loudest or the brightest or the most horrific on the news. So I want you just to think about that today. So instead of what we normally do, which is tune in and we see something horrific, the child that was shot in the back seat from a road rage incident, and it's a horrible, horrible thing. And so and some of us, we then lose our entire day to calling friends and talking about all the negative headlines that are happening around us. So do I want us to stick our head in the sand and just pretend like everything's okay? Yeah, like some of the time, half of the time, because there's always something horrible happening. And the news, the same 3 kinds of stories will be happening every single day. So I've done like research on this, an analysis from any channel, and that's why it's called If It Bleeds, It Leads. But before we get into that, I do want to take a breath and send out peace and comfort to the family, all families who are suffering from the loss through tragedy of a loved one, because that is real and it's painful. And I don't want you to think that I'm saying to you, don't think about that or feel that, because that's a part of life. So for that family that lost a beautiful little boy, let's just take a deep breath in right now through the nose and release. All love and support and peace to the family of Aiden who was tragically shot. But at the same time, I know where he is. He is on the other side with my dad and with others who we've lost. We've not really lost them because they are out there and they are in a place that has no pain. But our pain is what we're sending that peace to, and certainly the parents. And I will say, let's please understand the relationship between all the weapons that are out there and used inappropriately. I know that all gun owners aren't like that road rage couple that shot the boy, but at the same time, I don't think that we can just have #justified ignorance around the accessibility of firearms. I know it's our amendment to the right to carry arms, but I just want you to think too a little bit about, maybe that is a right whose time has come to re-examine. So that's my what's up, Doc. What's on my mind today, and it's time to take a little break. We will be back with the question of the week. The question of the day. You are tuned to Dr. Marissa on KCAA Morning Show. We'll be right back in peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Don't go away. And welcome back. You are tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show. And this is my favorite time of the show, where it is the Get Happy question of the day, where I get a volunteer, to come and ask Dr. Marissa, the kinder, gentler Dr. Laura, a question that is keeping them from being happy 88% of the time. So today we have Jacquetta Green. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
All right. And
Hello,
could you speak just a little louder? What is your question for me?
Yes, no problem. Well, Marissa, I'm single, and I am just wondering, will women ever understand men? I want to know, why is it so hard for us to really understand a man's feelings and articulate that to where, women are emotional and we're more intuitive. And I'm just wondering why sometimes there's just such a clash in personalities and just emotional ties and understanding to further relationships. And I just want to know if you can help my love life.
Dr. Marissa, help my love life. That we could have a new show with that as the topic, the dating show. So, yes. So, Jacquetta, thank you for asking me that question. Let's just do a quick mind meld or breath meld right now. Palms up in your lap and eyes gently closed. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And release, soft shoulders, soft elbows, soft knees, and another deep breath in. And releasing all the stories and the drama. And one last deep breath in. Connecting with me through Chi, eternal energy, the breath of life. And now coming back to the room, coming back to wherever you are. All right, and let's see now. I'm going to answer that question for you as best as I can. It is a question that is, I love the way that you said, will women ever understand men? Which I liked, instead of saying, why don't men understand women? So that's actually a good start, because one of the reasons why relationships are difficult, I won't say hard because that's a pun. So why are relationships so difficult sometimes? Why is it more clashing than getting, is it because we don't have the right one? And a lot of people will say, well, you just haven't met the right one. And actually that's bullshit hockey. Because this whole idea that there is one, thanks to the gospel of, what's his name? Tom Cruise's, I'm drawing a blank on the movie. What's that movie? You complete me. No, not Titanic. Jerry, yeah, that one sunk. No. We're talking about Jerry Maguire. And because of that, and the gospel according to Snow White and Cinderella, women have this fantasy that there is just one. There's only one person complete me, and I'm never going to be happy until I meet that one. And that's bullshitaki. So that's the first thing, is that if we stop trying to find the one, we take some pressure off of ourselves and that other person. There are so many possible romantic relationships that one can have in a lifetime. I'm not saying that we should all become polyamorous. That's also not what I'm saying, right? I'm saying that if you take the pressure off of having just one, and basically the first trimester, and we talked about this a couple days ago with a caller, my pregnancy model of relationships, you know that model, right? The first 3 months, it's going to be easier. Now, if you meet someone and it's already difficult in the first 3 months, probably not a match. Move on to the next chapter in your book of romance, because that's supposed to be the best time, right? That's where you look at the best part of them. You know, they're a fruit in the marketplace. Yeah, they better be good that first 3 months. But when the clash starts is usually in the second trimester, not because they're not the one. Well, yes, they're not the one, but not because it's the wrong person. In the second trimester, it's always going to be not like the first trimester where there's the glow and everything's wonderful and, you know, oh my God, I feel like I've known them forever and we talked on the phone all night. And it's like, well, of course you did, because you don't really know them, right? And they don't know you. You're getting to know each other. But when the clashes start, there is a responsible party here, and that is the person who's being judgmental. So if you're both clashing, you're both being judgmental, and now you are looking for things that are wrong. And if you begin to look for things that are wrong, you will find them, because you get what you look for, right? So if you're saying, you don't bring me flowers anymore. Well, guess what? That's because you're in the second trimester. You got flowers in the first trimester. You made promises that you couldn't keep in the first trimester because you don't know the person. In the second trimester, you get to know the person. And guess what? What do you do? You get to know the whole person. Now, here's another thing that many women do. And actually, to be fair, men do this as well. They say things like this: I'm just looking for someone who gets me. I want someone to get me. I want someone to love me exactly the way I am. Sound familiar? Hello? Yeah. Hello, when you say that, guess what? Do you like them the way they are? You want someone to like you the way you are, but all of a sudden you want them different. How's that fair? That's not fair. So when you say I want someone to know me and love me the way I am, then what is equally true is that other person is looking for someone that wants and gets them exactly as they are. Now, if you've got two completely separate, opposite people and you don't like them the way they are and they don't like you the way they are, it does not mean that they are bad people. It means that there's not enough to match. And it doesn't mean that you're never going to find someone that matches. You will find someone that matches if you are, and here's advice number 3, are you a match to what you want? Ooh, drop the mic. You want someone who's caring and loving. How caring and loving are you? You want someone who is successful. How successful are you? You want someone who is there for you. Are you there for them? So this really changes the questions and the way you look at a relationship, because you can't point a finger when there are 3 pointing back at you. So I know that there is someone out there who's going to appreciate you for who you are. But the match is when you appreciate them for who they are. So you can't double standard this, right? So, and this is another thing, why is it that the ones that I want to be with don't want to be with me, and the ones that want to be with me, I don't want to be with them? That is like the oldest thing in the book, right? And it's because we're not open. We're not open. And sometimes we don't even know what the fork we need or want. So I tell everybody who wants a relationship, do you have a good relationship with yourself? Do you like yourself 88% of the time? Do you value yourself 88% of the time? Do you approve of yourself 88% of the time? Because if you don't, then how the heck is someone else going to do that for you? They can't do it for you. Case in point, anybody say to their partner, you don't compliment me very much. And they say, oh, you have a beautiful dress on. And you say, that doesn't count because I had to tell you to compliment me. So they can't win. They cannot win. So here's the deal. You got to love yourself. Mm-hmm. You got to be good with yourself and then let it go. Quit looking. Get the antenna down off of your, who loves me? Who wants me? Who finds me attractive? You just do you. You have the best possible time doing all the things you want to do. Don't even think about it. And that's when it's going to happen. And you're going to call me and say, Dr. Marissa, you're so right. When I stop looking, it happened. So hopefully that helped. Yes? Did that help a little?
Yeah, yes. A lot of good points. I like that.
Yes. Good. So thank you so much, Jacquetta. Where are you calling in from?
Cali, Redlands, California.
From California. Thank you so much. We'll be right back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. This is the morning show. This was the question of the day with Jacquetta. We'll be right back for another fabulous segment interview with Don Wells. Peace in, peace out. And we're back. Welcome to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa in the morning show. And this is the interview segment where I get to bring you fabulous interviews, either live or from the past. And since this is my first full week here on the morning show, I thought I would give you a tribute to one of my favorite people who passed from COVID. But she's still here in spirit, and her words are eternal. Take a listen.
I couldn't think of a better person to bring on to celebrate this important milestone in my career on the air than my third time bring back by popular demand guest, the actress, the author, and the world traveler, motivational speaker, Ms. The Real Marianne Don Wells.
Good friend, too. Thank you, Marissa. I'm happy to be back. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. Celebrating this milestone. I get to meet the most fascinating people, and I wouldn't say not a short time, but most of the time, I end up liking my guests so much that I have them back.
I think you bring out something in someone, though. You see, I think when you talk to them, you get into the inner soul of them, and then there is a communication. That's very real.
Yeah, and I definitely feel that connection with you. So thank you for coming back. And I know you've been traveling. What have you been doing?
Oh, packing and unpacking and packing. And I'm going to invent paper clothes. Like the handy wipes, a cute little shift, and then just throw it away when you're through with it. I'm tired. I've been doing a lot. I had just finished a pilot. I have a book out, looking about doing another show. I mean, I'm very busy.
Somebody saw you on some game show or something. Did you do a game show? Was that you? Somebody mentioned. So. Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
I love games. Nobody ever asked me.
And for those of you who haven't recognized her already, of course, Dawn is the beautiful Marianne on Gilligan's Island, and there's a 26-year-old at Starbucks who wants your number.
Did you give it to him?
No, I didn't have your permission.
No, thank you very much.
But he says that to tell you that you have the best legs of anyone on TV, and that your legs span across the ages. So the fact
My
that he's
goodness.
26,
There's not many ages to spend. They only start
For
showing
him.
their eggs at age 13. He's only had a few years of experience. How very sweet, though.
Yeah.
I can't go anywhere in the world. Marianne was loved.
Oh,
She really was.
yes. So I've been promoting you, which I love doing. And because every time I say I'm having Marianne on my show, people go, oh, I love Marianne. I loved her so much more than Ginger.
And
I mean,
why?
9
when you
out of
stop and
10
think about it.
people.
Why?
Let's talk about it. I don't know why. Why do you think that people like? Oh wait, I'll give you one answer. The co-pilot on my it was U.S. Airways said that it was because you were down to earth, and then the pilot on the other way said that he thought he would break Ginger.
Break
So-
her? What does
break
that
her, like she's too fragile. So
Oh,
so
well,
there's
that's an
two
interesting
answers.
interpretation of Ginger.
So why do you think?
Because
people
she'd have
liked
been your
you
best friend.
more?
Because she'd been your
Okay.
best friend and they put me in short shorts. Well, I mean, if she were just in the gingham dress the whole time, I think it started with the 12 and 13, 14-year-old boys when they start realizing that there are girls out there, that she would have been the girl you'd taken to the prom.
Yeah.
And then the little short shorts sort of titillated the 19 and 20-year-olds. It was a very smart thing of Mr. Schwartz, I think.
Did you have a problem with it when they first asked you to put those on?
No, because I was always worried about my weight. I had a problem about what am I going to look like in them. And they weren't Daisy Dukes. It was way before Daisy Dukes. But I designed them with the wardrobe department because, speaking of somebody saying I have nice legs, I'm short. I don't have legs as long as Tina's are. And we had to cover my navel. Morality didn't let you show your navel. The censors wouldn't let you. So I put a little curve at the top of my navel. And then I dipped the shorts down on the side, my waistband, so that my torso looked longer. And then I took the end of the shorts, the cuffs of the shorts, and tipped them up on the side so my legs would look longer. And then I used a very soft denim, so we had darts and it fits your body. I think I'm bringing them out next summer. Everybody's wearing shorts now. I mean, I'm serious about it. Now everybody's
Yes.
wearing shorts.
Yes.
But you couldn't even show your navel then.
Right. I remember reading somewhere, it wasn't that long ago, where the camera wasn't allowed in the bathroom. And now look at all that's on the.
Well, and I know, and they're nude, and you've got nude pictures on buses as they go by, and the world has changed. When Marianne was dropped into the island, birth control was not invented. So that's what my book's about. What would she do now? What would Marianne do now? She was a moral compass, I think. So if she were a mom, where would she be?
Where would she be?
Well, I had a big debate about whether would she go back to Kansas? Would she be PTA president maybe? Would she run for mayor maybe? She would marry. Would she have just one child? Would she be a businesswoman? I went through this quite a bit. At one point I thought, let's say, would she be Sarah Palin or Hillary Clinton? I thought, no, let's not get into that. I think she'd be productive at something. I think something that she liked to do. I think she was smart. I think she'd have had a family. Not necessarily necessary, though. I think she was her own person. And I think she shared who she was with other people. And I think that's what's wrong with the world today. A lot of that. It's all me, 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 me.
Right.
She was always trying to help somebody. Mr. Howell would be nice to Mrs. Howell. And she was cheerful. She wasn't jealous of Ginger. There's more depth there than you think. In a silly little show like that there was a lot there, I think.
Right. Well, it was a beloved show. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering who I'm talking to today, and you're wondering, boy, that voice does sound familiar, it is Don Wells, the real Marianne, back from Gilligan's Island. And it's a retired professor and Marianne show today.
Here
Yes,
we
I
are.
was.
And the rest, I think we called ourselves.
And the rest. That's right. And I have a couple of other questions. My bank manager wanted to know, were pranks... yeah.
Where my money went? Is that what he wants to know?
Okay, yeah.
No residuals. We can talk about that.
She wants to know, were there pranks played on set, and if so, which was the best one? How did you guys?
I really don't think there were any pranks. When I stop and think about it, I don't think anybody was. Bob had to work real hard. He'd had all that physical comedy, falling down holes and out of trees and all of that.
Okay.
Bacchus
That's
was
Gilligan.
That's Gilligan.
That's Gilligan.
And the Howells were witty.
Were they really like their character, or were they really acting?
Mrs. Howell was very Mrs. Howell.
Really?
Natalie Schaefer was very much so. And Jim was too. Jim was very much, they're very good casting in this whole show, I thought. I think we were all very much like our roles, with the exception of Bob.
With the
Gilligan.
exception of
Gilligan.
Why?
Well, Gilligan was very intellectual, quiet, quite private. a very subtle sense of humor, not a goofball at all.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he was into no pesticides long before. Great with kids. That's why I think there was something inside of him that children identified with. He was very different than his character. The rest of us were pretty much the same, I think.
Interesting. And then were there some easier to work with than others?
I don't think there was any. I never, excuse me, I never saw any temper. I never saw any disagreement with directors or anything. I think
Did you
they
get
were all
along
pretty-
with Ginger?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We didn't have a whole lot of scenes together, little bits and pieces, but yeah, I didn't see any discord at all. The hours were long, and the physical part that Bob had to do was tough. The scripts were silly, you know, surf on and surf off. And then the guest stars were fun, of course. We had Don Rickles and Zsa Zsa Gabor and Kurt Russell, who was 12 at the time. I was only 12 at the time. Yeah, it was a very odd show, but it's never been off the air since 1964.
Yeah. And people are always amazed, and I feel very smart when I ask them, how long do you think it ran? And people say 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And I go, nope, 3 years.
That's all.
Nobody can believe it.
Nope. And this is our 50th anniversary. We've been on the air 50 years, never been off the air, 30 languages all over the world.
Wow.
Well, there's
That's
no
so
cars
cool.
or clothes or anything that shows you what the date is.
Right.
No 56 Chevy or mini skirts or anything like that. It can be anything. We're all dressed like beach bums, you know?
Right.
Except for Ginger, of course. She always looked pretty.
Yeah. Now people have asked who's still alive.
Just myself and Ginger.
Just yourself and Ginger.
We lost the professor last year about this time.
Were you close to the professor?
Very much so. I adored him. I think if we both had been single, we'd had our own island.
Well, that was the next question.
Oh, yeah. Well,
is
I'm not
people
going to talk about
wanted
No,
to
I'm
know.
teasing. No, I think you saw chemistry. And, of course, we were and the rest the first year. You know, in the credits, we were and the rest. Then we became the Professor and Mary Ann the second and third year. So we always laughed and sent each other cards, love the rest, always.
Oh.
He had a great sense of humor. He had the best sense of humor on the set of anyone, more than Jim, more than Bacchus. And he was so smart. And he was a hero in World War II. He was shot down in the Solomon Islands as a navigator, broke both his ankles. His co-pilot or whatever was killed. And when I went to the funeral last year, they presented his wife with the flag, but I did not know, and he never mentioned it. He got the Purple Heart.
Oh, wow.
So there was a soul there. Not only that, when his son came down with AIDS, it was the very beginning of the AIDS epidemic.
Oh, wow.
When we went to work, his son taught himself to read and write in Japanese and Korean. He was a very bright kid. And Russell was so proud of him. And the way Russell embraced it and came forward, it was not the time you could do that.
Right.
And I was very proud of him for that.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, who would humble, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Adored his son and lost his son, of course. But David was very smart. I think he set up the whole food situation in Los Angeles. The mayor got with him. But it was more than that. It wasn't embarrassment. It wasn't, I judge my son. It wasn't any of that. He loved him, and he was proud of him. And I think that speaks well of Russell a lot.
Right. So I'm feeling like we should talk. I usually don't talk about the headlines, but one of the questions was, how do you stay young? And the other question was, what do you feel like when you see all the pictures of yourself when you were young, when it was 50?
It makes you cry, doesn't it? No.
And this whole idea around aging and youthing, as I like to call it,
That's good.
I'm ageless. But life, this thing called life. I was at the gym, and this woman who wants to die with dignity, she doesn't want to, she has a prognosis 6 months left, and she doesn't want her daughter to watch her die. And normally I don't talk about headlines because it's just CNN, constantly negative news, and my show is about hope and happiness. But I thought, this might be a good time and an important topic to talk about life, because you're such a great example of someone whose legs not only span through the ages, but your attitude and your love of life and your joie de vivre and some of the things you mentioned you've done with your life. The importance of attitude, the importance of how you see life. How do you stay young? What is your view about life?
It has nothing to do with any cosmetics or anything that we're talking about. I think you age with your soul. And I think if your soul is full of life and full of what's tomorrow, I'm blessed every morning to wake up. I'm always finding a chore to do or a problem to solve or something that has to be done. I have a positive attitude. I grumble about a lot of things. I don't mean that, but I'm an optimist. And I've always said from day one, I'm going to live to be 100. Now I'm stretching that out. 100 is a little too young.
How old are you now?
76.
76. Trombones, no trombones.
I'd like a few trombones,
okay,
actually.
Do we have trombones? No, just applause. Yeah, you're the youngest by far 76-year-old that I've ever met in my entire life.
Well, I'm young at heart, and I don't, part of it is not having children. I don't have those worries. If you've got a daughter that's married to a husband that's beating her up, or you have a grandchild that's really sick, or a husband that you don't get along with, all that stress and everything takes it out of you. It ages you.
Well,
it
I
takes
don't know.
your
I
spirit
think
away.
if you had children, you'd still look young. I think there's an attitude that transcends.
No, I didn't mean having children, but the negative things draw you down. I'm an optimist, and if you have all the negatives, it's really hard to stay positive all the time.
Yeah.
Or take a hold of it and do something about it.
So do you think that people should have the right to say this is the end and I'm done?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I had one of my dearest friends moved from Illinois to Oregon so that she could help herself along. Yeah. I think not what's the word? Well, not idly. I mean, it's a huge decision. But if you're in so much pain and there is no hope, but Dawn Wells thinks there's always a little bit of hope.
Right.
I mean, we talked about that final statement. Keep me alive. You
Yeah,
never know
you have a resuscitate order.
I do.
Yeah, you're the only person I know that has
I
a
know
resuscitate.
it. I know it. No, but you say, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know that? I mean, I have a friend now that is a radiologist and has just done an incredible opportunity for women with breast cancer. And you will hear about it, that you will never have to die from breast cancer again. And it's just on the edge that they can take it and freeze it and breast cancer now.
Right.
And so how do you know? How do you know you're in a coma for 6 months and something's discovered?
And doctors can be wrong.
Of course they can.
Right. I had Chris Work on the show who had stage 3.5, which was it? Colon? It wasn't colon cancer. It was another, but it was a serious cancer. He cured himself on a vegan diet. So his prognosis was 6 months too, and he is alive and well and cancer free. So
but if you want to give up, and we were talking about, do you want to have that privilege? If you just say, I can't do this anymore, the pain is just so bad, I can't do this anymore, why shouldn't you have the right? I don't know.
Well, let's talk about that. If you believe that suffering is too much, like that's someone saying, I just don't want to suffer anymore. Okay. And I would rather die with my family around me and not degenerate anymore. And my dad went down that path. I lost him 2000. He was 70, younger than you, and had lymphoma. And there was like 8 months between his diagnosis and when he died. And he went through chemotherapy. And, hindsight, woulda, shoulda, coulda, shitty. I don't know, because he suffered a lot. And so I understand what she's saying, that you don't want to suffer. But on the other hand, it's at the antithesis to the hope, right? There's always hope.
And I don't know that you can make that decision ahead of time. I just lost one of my dear friends. I have a ring on my hand. I've never been with anybody in hospice. My mother went very quickly. She choked to death. So pneumonia, it only lasted a few days. My father, they gave him the wrong dose of something in the hospital. So I really don't know what's going to take me. But Linda had been fighting that lung OCD. Is that what I can't think of the name of it, where you can't breathe for a very long time.
Emphysema?
No.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Anyway, when she was on all kinds of medicine, and it was time, and she went into hospice, and her husband called me and said she'd love to have you there. And I thought, I don't know. How do I say I don't want to lose you, Linda? I love you.
Right.
And at the very, 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 very end, she took a hold of my hand and she said, I'm going. And she said, she lost a son. She said, Ty is there. Ty is waiting with his arms open for me. So is my kitty. I'm so happy. And 5 or 6 minutes later, she was gone. So then how can you say that isn't the thing that you want to do? So
Absolutely. Because that's the other hand. I usually put the moose on the table on this side, and then I go on the other side. So I'm going to go on the other side. Yeah,
I do too.
So, and moose on the table, did I tell you why
No,
I
I
say
don't know what
that?
that means. Well, who's moose and why? Or are you talking about dessert? What are you talking about?
No, I'm talking about this guy.
Oh, that kind of moose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the elephant in the room, right? That's
Okay.
the American. And I was born in Canada, so
it's the moose on the
moose
table.
on the table. I know. I keep forgetting that that's not a common term. I use it as if it's like ducks in a row or something like that.
That's what I get.
Yeah. Okay. So I can't even think of another one right now. I was going to throw it at you, but so when the shift hits the fan.
I think we go
Yeah,
to a commercial. Where are we?
Okay. So if we believe that we are finite, right? This is it, right? This is, we're born, not quite sure where we came from, and we die. We know it's never going to be, and everybody knows you're born and you die, right? So if you believe, and religion's a big one, that actually that we're just in this holding area until the real enchilada is after you die, that heaven. If that's true, then why do we cry so much when people die if the enchilada is supposed to be after this experience?
Because you're feeling sorry for yourself for losing them, I think. I think all of a sudden a part of whatever that soul that's been with you is gone.
Yeah.
There's a part of you that's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know that you're thinking about them as much as you're thinking about how you're going to miss them.
That it's left. So tragedy and people dying. I know for the last, I'd say 4 or 5 years, I have made peace with that I am an eternal being. I'm a spiritual being having a human incarnation. Dr. Wayne Dyer uses that term. Instead of saying we're human beings having a spiritual experience, we're actually spiritual beings having a human experience.
Very interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
It is interesting.
And that way, it really helps me with the concept of death, because death is just a transition.
Do you think there's another spiritual existence for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
well, I
coming
think it's
back, that kind of thing?
unending. Whether you come back or not, it's not the end. That it's a continuum. And I'll tell you why it works for me. And this is part of my life balance coaching process is if I don't believe this, and many people don't believe it, it's like you come in and then if you die too early, not naturally, even if you die of natural causes, it's a loss. And what's worse is if you've had a bad childhood, right? And you come in and you're always behind the 8 ball. You're always like not doing as well as, you're always making up for something bad that happened to you, right? And then if you didn't get all the toys or you got laid off or you lost your house, it's a bad thing. And if you die broke or penniless, it's a bad thing. And so life becomes this, report card. How did you do? And then when you die, if you don't have the toys, or if you don't have money to leave your kids, or if you didn't have the job you wanted, or the career you wanted, or the family you wanted, or someone left you or abandoned you or abused you, you had a good life. Oh.
Well,
There we go. Thank goodness. Yes. I'm going to have to fix this before Thursday. So on my CNBC channel has FCC. But anyways, so if we are human beings and we can have a spiritual experience, then we might be able to transcend all of these things, the bad things that happen to us. But instead, and I'll test this on you and see if you buy it from me. I'm not making you drink the Kool-Aid, but this is making lemonade. Is it possible to believe or accept that we're eternal beings, okay? And this human experience is a choice that kind of like we're all in line. We want to come in because in the spiritual realm, there's no taste, touch, sight, sound, anything. So in order to have those wonderful world traveling experiences, we have to be human beings. So we're kind of in line and we want to get on this earth and we want to experience all of this amazing stuff. And if I want to experience power, like let's say I want that to be my number one thing on this planet. So when I come in as a spiritual being, doesn't it make sense that I would come in maybe as a baby into a home with toughness or abuse or abandonment or something that creates the expansion in me
makes you
to
stronger,
experience and develop characteristics that make me powerful.
But it could also defeat you.
It could. It could, but it offers that opportunity. So
if you come into this world and everything is fine and wonderful, what opportunity does that give you?
Well, you just sort of unfold a little by little, but pain and those big things that we now, with the alternative view, see as, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that happened, and it's really something you have to overcome. But if I look at it as not something I had to overcome and that I'm below or not as good, but I see it as something that just facilitated an expansion in my experience here on Earth, isn't it more fun?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think once you've tried to roller skate 4 times, you keep skinning your knees. The 5th time, you can run down that sidewalk and do fine.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
So
yes, I agree with you. Yes,
So when I see life like that,
mm-hmm.
and then when I see the pain and suffering that people, like, yes, loss is painful. And when I lost my dad, it's a painful thing when you lose anyone. You
love, it's very hard.
It's very hard, but it doesn't have to be life debilitating. So I had a question from a listener
mm-hmm.
who said, I wanted to ask you, how do you mend from a broken heart? How do you recover from, and I'll say, for a broken heart from a man who cheated on you, or how do you recover from a life-threatening illness, or how do you recover from a loss of a child? How do you do that?
First of all, you have to. First of all, you have to make up your mind. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's your approach? Is it a obsession with some sport? Is it drugs? Is it finding somebody to love? Is it getting inside yourself and the faith of God and whatever your belief is,
mm-hmm.
that's part of the suffering of this lifespan? It's your own mental adjustment, I think. And when talking about what you do, how many of us really know a philosopher? How many of us really think about why we're doing something or what it's doing to me? We're just running through this world
mm-hmm.
as fast as we can, trying to get as much as we can done. But what does it mean? I mean, going back to, I was raised where we had Gandhi,
mm-hmm.
With that peace and peaceful. No, but there's nobody doing that now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that person to look for, to.
Well,
there's so many more avenues than
yeah.
there were before.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more complex. It's a pretty big. There's no answer. There's
mm-hmm.
no right answer to this at all.
Right. For me, it's just choice. And actually, Deepak Chopra is Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith is
mm-hmm.
a great teacher and spiritual avatar. And actually, I think there are more of us now who want to believe that there's something different than just living and getting as many toys as possible.
Oh, I think that's always existed, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, I don't mean always. I don't know the 16th century, but
yeah.
I think too many toys and too many distractions and too many goals of superficial things has derailed us.
Mm-hmm.
Where it was a
mm-hmm.
simpler life. You look back at those old Gregory Peck movies where because he went out and had to shoot the deer, whatever that wonderful movie was, and he had to because it was life or death for the family.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very simple choice. Now the choices are so magnificent everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
How do you keep yourself on track anyway?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you think we get inside ourselves very often?
Well, we have this connection. Like, I take a breath.
Right away.
Mm-hmm. Like, are you happy? Like right now?
Very.
I know. Like, I can tell. Yeah. And am I happy? Yeah. Yeah. So that's how we get to the center of all the whirling dervish, is we just stop and take a breath and look at each other and remind us of the connection that we have. And that goes with everybody. Like, that's available to everybody.
And I get a lot when I meet someone. I get an awful lot when I do these silly little, not silly, but these Comic-Con shows. No, it means something.
I thought you were talking about that.
No, these silly conversations I'm having with you. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I think when you relate to some, even a little 8-year-old fan or somebody that's watched you since he was 12, there's a moment between you, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. That's life.
Yeah.
Giving of yourself, that's life. We are alive with each other.
Exactly.
Not you shut in a room reading a book all the time. Yeah. Well, that reading the book, you're listening to somebody that's talking to you too. Mm-hmm. So I can't say that. But it isn't all about, it's the give and take with human spirit, I think.
Right.
And soul.
And that is the secret to happiness.
I think so.
Yeah.
Get out of your own head.
I think so too. And
That was a beautiful segment of an interview I had with Dawn Wells, who is on the other side, and we were talking about that. And I'm so grateful that I got to share her with you this beautiful Tuesday, and I'm hoping that you will have the best day ever. Remember, keep it tuned. I'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. on KCAA's morning show. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. Have the best day ever.